Speaking of Donald Trump's tariffs, there's no end to Trump's tariff tyranny. And US President has now announced a 100% tariff on all foreign-made movies. Remember, this is the first set of tariffs on services. So far, they were only targeting goods. So in a post on Truth Social, Trump said that America's movie business has been stolen by other countries, likening it to stealing candy from a baby. The move, in fact, could hit Indian cinema hard as well. And the US accounts for nearly 35 to 40% of overseas box office revenue for Bollywood and regional films, making it their most crucial foreign market. If enforced, ticket prices and distribution costs could go double, rendering many Indian releases financially unviable. Smaller and mid-budget productions are especially at risk, with already razor-thin margins. However, several filmmakers have denied the major impact of this decision. CNN News 18's Sanjay Suri brings you a report.
First, we have to see whether the tariff comes in. If you recall, this was announced by Trump earlier in May, and we had reported this from here in Washington then, and we had reported on the potential effect and the potential impact this could have on Bollywood cinema and other cinema from India. After that, nothing happened. This did not move forward at all, and no specifics were announced then. Again, no specifics have been announced, just a sort of expression of annoyance that it's like taking candy from a baby. But exactly how this will be implemented, we don't know. Whether it will be implemented at all, we don't know. Perhaps this reiteration and this re-announcement would suggest that this time Trump is serious. If he is, then certainly a lot of Indian cinema will be affected. As you point out, margins for profit in this business can be quite thin. And the overseas territory is a very important territory for Indian cinema. The estimate here is that the Bollywood and the entire cinema market is worth about $50 billion a year, of which Indian cinema is less than 1%. So as a percentage here, it is small, but in itself, it is a very substantial business for a lot of filmmakers, particularly those keen on a market abroad. And as we've all seen, a lot of films are made with NRI themes and foreign themes built into the stories for the purpose of this market. So this really is a very far-reaching impact that this could potentially have, not just on the success, even on the content of the cinema. But at the moment, it's not certain how this will proceed, whether this will proceed, because the order is short of specifics.
All right. So whether it is the tariffs or the H-1B visa fee hike, India has been left in a lurch. Let's try and get in some perspective. And for that, on our World Exclusive this week, I'm joined in by Representative Julie Anderson, who is a Democrat representative. Thank you so much, Julie, for joining in on World 360. Let me begin by asking you about your assessment of Donald Trump's H-1B visa fee hike to $100,000. What's your assessment?
It makes absolutely no sense why Donald Trump just out of the blue imposed a $100,000 visa. I think it's more retaliation against India for Russian oil. I think he's mad that India isn't doing exactly everything he wants. And so he's trying to retaliate because, India has 75% of the visas issued in that category from the United States. And so it punishes India more than any other country.
Julie, interestingly, ever since he made that announcement, we've seen exemptions being made for doctors and health workers. Is that an indication of how poorly thought out this decision was? Because remember, the day he made that announcement, Howard Lutnick endorsed this as a blanket fee hike, and just the very next day there was an exemption made. The changes were made by the White House press secretary when she made that announcement. Do you think this has been a poorly thought out strategy?
Absolutely. I think this $100,000 penalty on the HB1 visas is very poorly thought out. It unfairly targets some of the brightest minds that we have in this country who are contributing to tech and innovation and medicine. We have a profound doctor shortage in this country, and we need and rely upon Indian physicians to help provide healthcare here. And these visas are instrumental in that process. Not to mention just the overwhelming contributions that these folks are making to our tech development and innovation in the AI space and many other areas. And so it's just not thought out. It's poorly timed. It's not strategic, which is par for the course for this Trump administration.
So, Julie, let's now talk about tariffs and the trade negotiations. What are your hopes from the negotiations that are currently on between India and the United States after temporary hiatus? Will we be able to arrive on a mutually beneficial, at least first tranche of the BTA by autumn this year, as was expected?
I really hope so. I was just in India this past week, met with many Indian leaders in your business and governmental positions. And it's my understanding from those conversations, as well as conversations within our own government, that there's pretty much a deal done. It's ready to go. We're right there. It just needs the president's signature to move forward. And I really hope that the administration will execute that deal. India is a significant trading partner with the United States, and we need to have a trade deal. We need to have robust cooperation between our two nations. America is the oldest democracy and India is the largest democracy, and our countries really need to have a strong partnership and allyship going forward, and we need this trade deal to get done.
So let's talk about Dr. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister's address to the UNGA. He's spoken about the UN being in a state of crisis, human rights being violated by terrorism. He's also said that the world needs to choke terrorism funding. What's your assessment on the thoughts that he's shared?
Well, I didn't get to see his speech, so it's hard for me to comment too much on it. But I just will say this, is that we need peace throughout the globe. There's rising tensions across many countries that we're seeing, trendings to the right. We have a lot of unemployment across the globe in our younger population. One of the things I learned on my trip to India was that over almost 400 million people are under the age of 15. 60% of the Indian population is under the age of 35. And what we're seeing is a population boom across the globe in that demographic. And we haven't kept up with jobs and opportunity and economic, and we're seeing strife and trouble and turmoil. And the role of America has always been a leading beacon throughout the world for peace and democracy and opportunity for those who work hard and want to achieve it. And we've been a good partner to help lift up other countries who are struggling, who need support, to make sure that their population has food, has some basic structure, to keep social structure and order within their countries, and so to minimize the role and influence of terrorism. And I think it's really been tragic that the American policy has been to retreat from that leadership and to back down from USAID and those sorts of things. I don't support the administration and those decisions and policies, and I would be remiss to say, under a Democratic administration, I would be hopeful that we would institute America's role in the world to be a leading structure of support for those countries, to make sure that people across everyone have basic aspects of food, safety, shelter, and that we can establish peace. And I think that that's really what we want.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Many thanks to you, Representative Julie Anderson, for joining in on World 360. It was a pleasure speaking to you. And that's all I have for you in this edition of World 360. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates continue on CNN News 18.